Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Go grab yourself a nice hot cup of coffee, kick back, relax, and we'll be right back with you. We've had a great week here in PNG. Just going to talk about a few things that have happened. Going to take you for a walk through the property real quick of some things that we've had go on over the past several days. It all started a couple of weeks ago when Paul got the roundup and went back and sprayed the back field. We're out there walking around, burrs getting stuck in our clothes and just way too high to do anything. Sprayed it down with some Roundup, thinking we'd just go back there and start a fire and burn off all of the weeds and get everything going really well. Well, we got back there with our lighters and our matches and all the dry weeds that we had, and we just started burning as much as we could, and we get a flame going for 5 or 10 minutes, and boom, it was gone. Never did really go anywhere, just a little flicker here and a flicker there. A little bit of smoke, but really no fire. So we ended up on Saturday. We had a work day here at the property, but it started on Friday night. We're sitting in the living room. We hear people start to come in. There's probably five to start, and then you hear them. They're out there playing some volleyball in the front yard, just having a good time. And before you know it, there's some more trickling in, and a few more, and a few more. And before you know it, we've got like 35 people here for a work day. It doesn't get much better than that. It's all youth. It was amazing. If you follow me on social media, you'll see that I took a photo when they was out there playing volleyball, because all of these youth was out here and they're playing volleyball, and there's this beautiful rainbow in the distance. Well, I didn't have my camera to get a good picture, right then. Left my phone in the house, didn't have a camera, didn't have a phone, didn't have anything to take a good picture with. So I come back into the house, go back out to take a picture, and half of the rainbow had disappeared, but it was still quite a bit over the youth. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful rainbow. It was probably the clearest rainbow that I've ever seen. It was just right over them there as they was playing, and I just got to looking at it, and I just started to just rejoice, because the promise of our future sets up on these young people. The promise of our future, and this gospel carrying on to the next generation, starts with the current generation. So, that promise being covered by the promise of God, he said he was going to set his bow in the clouds. And that promise was hovering over these young people. And I just began to just pray for them and pray that God would bless them for coming and for their faithfulness and their obedience and all of the hard work that they had put in. It was just a beautiful, beautiful day. It was about 80, 85 degrees that day. We had a little bit of rain off in the distance, but it really kind of stayed off of us until later that night when everybody was in bed. It was just great. And the air temperature was good, the air quality was good. It was just a beautiful, beautiful day. And all of these kids, they was out here. I say kids, all of these youth. I better be careful calling them kids. We all know where that may end up. But all of these youth, they were out here and they were just working and having a good time. That evening, we was able to cook them a dinner. Just for them coming. Just wanted to bless them a little bit. Got some food, and everybody cooked and fellowshipped and had a good time, and got some scones for them, and they was able to just kind of relax and have a good time together, get some good fellowship in. And the beautiful thing about it is, they were all from different churches. They were all from different places, all from different regions and different districts and different provinces, but they all fellowship together, and that's just a beautiful thing, because the Bible, when it talks about fellowship, it talks about, sitting down, breaking bread, and having a good time, getting to know one another, and that's exactly what they done. They got to bed pretty early, early for youth anyway. I heard them out there; they were still playing guitars and singing at 11, 12 o'clock, but shortly after that, they all had gone to bed. and they woke up at 6 o'clock on Saturday morning. And at 6 a.m., they all got their shovels out. Me and Paul, we went to town and got a few shovels on Thursday of last week. We ended up having 10 shovels here. They all went out and they began to dig, and they got all of those weeds out. They weeded the entire place where the Bible college is going to be. It looks amazing. And it's just a beautiful thing when everybody gets together. I done a live feed, and I was able to talk to a few of them and let them get on and talk to some people back in the States. And we had a gentleman, he jumped on the live stream from Pakistan, and he was chatting with us. It was pretty cool. And it was just awesome to see him back there, and just doing their thing. The Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. So, we're training them up to do God's word, to be accessible for the ministry, and to be able to work and be able to have a part in things, even though, people's like, well, we got some youth coming or whatever, but the youth they're some hard workers. So after all of that was done, they all hung out for another several hours, and they played some more volleyball, and we was able to provide them with, well, that morning we provided them with some breakfast. That afternoon we provided them with some lunch. It was great. Uh, on Saturday morning, while they was all back there working, we haven't been to a yard sale, and I couldn't tell you how long. If you don't like yard sales, just bear with me. I used to not like them a whole lot either, but there's just something about it, like it kind of takes you back home, right? You don't get a whole lot of yard sales in PNG. I'll just say that. But we have a missionary family. They live close to us, and they're in town, and they're getting ready to go on their deputation in a couple of months. And whenever they come back, they're actually going to be moving to a different place. So they had a huge yard sale, and me and Sister Marshall was able to go grab some breakfast that morning, and take some time out of our day and just kind of hang out with some folks out there at the other missionaries' property. And we was able to run into quite a few of the people that, some of our friends over here that we was able to get some fellowship in. Sister Marshall's been looking for some bar stools for our counter in the kitchen, and man, they're outrageous here. We went and looked at some, and they wasn't even like very nice. I mean, they were like they were pretty rough, and they had been there for a long time. There was knocks in the legs where people had banged up against them. There's big chips out of them. The leather on the top wasn't very good. They was all dusty and nasty and moldy, and they was just gross. And this was at a store, and we went over and looked at them, and it was like 1,200 kina a piece. I mean, that's like $400 for a bar stool that's been beat to death. And we just couldn't justify getting any. We've been looking for well over a year now for some bar stools for her, and we just wasn't able to find any. Well, we go out to this yard sale, and you already know where I'm headed with this. And they had three bar stools out there that we was able to get, and they was nicer than the ones at the store. And we was able to get all three of them for a fraction of the price that one of them was going to be at another store. We was able to get all three of them for like it was probably like $40 we was able to get these bar stools for. So that was a huge blessing in itself. We was also able to restock our library. We found all kinds of books. It was great. I actually had just given away our last two Bibles that we had to pass out. I like to keep a Bible with me when we're out and about. You never know if somebody needs one, or somebody may ask you for one. They're not too shy to ask. They may be like, hey man, you got a Bible on you? So it's always good to have just like, a gift and award Bible or a New Testament or something like that to pass out. And me and Sister Marshall, we went to the store the other day, and there was a security guard there. He asked us if we had one, and then there was another guy there with him. He asked us if we had one, so we gave both of those away. And I was like, man, we gotta stock up on our pass out Bibles. And we went out there to that yard sale, and they had probably 5 or 6 paperbacks that we was able to restock there, and we'll be able to pass those out here. Whenever people need one, we'll have them to pass out. Um, We was also able to get, we probably got, I'm going to say at least 25 or 30 books. And, we was able to get quite a few to restock there. And then, we was booking some flights, and like I said, good, bad, and ugly, right? These are all great things that have happened. We was booking some flights. We've been invited to a conference, and we're getting everything ready for that. And I went to book our flights, and I noticed on Ezekiel's passport that it expires. His not his passport, but his visa, it expires on June the 15th of this year. And everybody else's doesn't expire until September, which is nuts because, we were just assuming that his was the same as everybody else. This trip is actually, it ended up being a blessing so that we could find this. There's a lot of things. People's like, well, what's your biggest obstacle in the mission field? Well, to be honest, sometimes it's immigration. It's crazy trying to get. I'm sure Brother Kuykendall will amen that one. But sometimes it's just crazy trying to get all of these hoops that they want you to jump through for immigration to try to get visas processed and try to get things rolling and try to get your work permits going and get everything tied down there. When you go into the mission field, you know that you have to adapt to cultures, you have to adapt to different places, different areas. But what you don't realize is all of the paperwork. I mean, we're talking every 3 years we've got to submit. We've got to submit things like new applications, which the application is about 4 pages. On top of that, we have to get a letter from our world missions director to say, hey, yes, we are missionaries with the ALJC. Yes, they are there, representing us and all of these things. And then we got to give them the details of our work here and how many churches we're over. We're incorporated, so we have incorporation papers. We have work permits. We're volunteers, so we got to submit everything for our volunteer work permit. And then on top of that, you've got everybody under the umbrella of my work permit. Then we have visas for each person. So it can get away from you kind of quick. Well, looking at this, and Benji, the guy that we went to the yard sale for, I was talking to him because he just had 2 sons. He's got a set of twins, and they had just turned 18 a couple of months ago. And whenever they go back on deputation, they're actually going to graduate while they're in America. And I asked him how he handled it, and it just so happens that whenever you submit this paperwork to the government, they kind of pick and choose. And some people it expires the day before their 18th birthday. Other people it's just a lump sum deal where you just throw all of them into the family there, and everybody's expires at the same time. That's what happened to him, so he didn't have to worry about it. So today, actually, I went down to our immigration office here in Mount Hagen, and I was like, man, I need help. And there's a great man down there. His name is Wandy. He's great. He helps us out down at the immigration office, and he was able to get everything printed out for me. And it looks like we're going to be able to get Ezekiel an extension on his visa to where it will not expire until we get back to the States in September. And whenever it does, then we'll have to apply for not only me a work permit and visas and everything, because everybody knows that Ezekiel just loves Papua New Guinea. If you've ever talked to him, he'll just ask him, he'll tell you it's that kind of thing. So whenever we come back, not only are we going to have to do my paperwork for my work permits and my visa and Sister Marshall's visa and Adriana's visa, we're also going to have to do one for Ezekiel to get his own work permit and his own visa since he's going to be 18 now. So, anybody that is customs or immigration savvy, hey, hit me up, send me an email, send me a text, something. Because this is going to be a process, and we're going to have to get all of this paperwork done. And as soon as we get back, basically, Ezekiel, we're going to go ahead and get his passport renewed as soon as we get back, because him and Adriana got their passports in 2018, I believe it was, or 2000, I don't know. but they was only good for 5. It would have been 2019 because they're only good for 5 years. They both expire in 2024. But now Ezekiel's over 16, so whenever we get his passport, it's good for 10 years. So we're going to go and do that as soon as we get back. That way we can get all of the visa stuff going on his new passport. And then whenever Adriana turns 16 in December, we're going to go ahead and get her a new passport. That way, everything's good for 10 years and we don't have to do that 5 year stuff anymore. But that's a pretty crazy week that we had. It's been kind of one of them roller coaster weeks. Like, oh, this is great. Oh, here we go. We're going down again. Guys, please remember me in prayer. Remember my family in prayer. I got a message from my daughter-in-law, Brianna, and she informed me that my grandpa was put in the hospital. He has shingles, and it's gotten into his eyes, and it has taken his eyesight. They're trying their best to get it worked out and get his eyesight back. But last week or the week before, we was talking about the hand, foot, and mouth that the kids got, and they're finally getting better. Ezekiel comes off of quarantine tomorrow, and then Adriana, she's on it until Friday. But hey, hallelujah! Anyhow, we're going through some great stuff, but every trial has a great victory at the end, right? You can see that end in sight, and that's what it's all about. It's about making heaven and about taking as many souls as you can when you go. So we're just trying to stay focused, stay happy, and just push through. But please remember that in prayer. Keep an eye on the PNG Pentecostals Facebook page. I'll also be sharing some stuff to my pages as well. We're going to be dropping the names of our 3 main speakers for our 2022 conference, but I cannot do that until after we have our national board meeting, so I can announce it to them, and then those will be going live on social media. But they are going to be some great men of God that's going to be coming. We're excited and we can't wait until they get here. We also have a young man from our church. I actually just got his visa information today, and he's going to be coming over the 1st of July, and he'll be staying until the end of August. So we're going to have him for 60 days. He's going to be here for the entirety of the visitor's visa, which is a 60-day visitor's visa. And whenever I talked to him, I was like, "Hey man, come on over. You can do 60 days in here in Papua New Guinea." And we just kind of got a little chuckle out of that. But the borders opening back up's been great. They are requiring anyone that comes over to be fully vaccinated. And I don't know where you stand on that. I know where I stand, but souls are in the balance. So we're all having to get vaccinated so that we can fly here. So we're looking forward to some trips that we have coming up. Haven't released that information to anybody other than close family yet, but I'll be dropping that on the next couple of podcasts, letting you know where we're going, what we're doing, and how exciting it is. Remember to pray for our missionaries here in the South Pacific. With all the stuff going on around the world, we are impacted by some of those things. We've been getting reports of some certain things that have been possibly happening here. Nothing's been, exactly. It hasn't been verified yet, but there's some stuff that we've been hearing. But just keep praying that God keeps His hand upon us, that this revival keeps going, this momentum keeps going. We're in a great place here in Papua New Guinea. I know that the Solomon Islands and Fiji's both doing great. George C.O., he put on a picture the other day of a church they've been putting up in Santa Cruz. He's actually in Onria right now, and he's doing great stuff there. Some home Bible studies, some baptisms, people getting filled with the Holy Ghost, some awesome stuff. We got Brother Satoki down in Fiji. He's killing it. He's doing a great job. He's got some stuff going on down there. And just keep them in your prayers. All of them down here. We've also got Brother Nami. He's north of us up in the Philippines. Just keep praying for him, that God keeps opening doors. But I just want to thank you for tuning in this week. And I just want to thank you for listening to all the ups and downs that's been happening here lately. It's been pretty crazy. But you know what? God has a plan and God has a vision. We was at church on Sunday. We was able to go to Red Corner Church, and those of you that's been on some of our deputation services, I talked quite a bit about Red Corner, quite a bit about Maggie, and we was able to go to Red Corner Church on Sunday, and man, it was just a wonderful service. That it was great. Preached on faith. Hebrews 11. We just broke it down, and we just had a faith building service. It was so great. And there was about 4 or 5 people that got up after service, and they testified on things that they know that God's going to do, because they have the faith that God's going to move. We had one man. He's actually the assistant pastor, and this is a wonderful testimony. He only knows talk pigeon. He can only read and talk pigeon, but he stood up and he declared that by faith that God's going to open his eyes and move on his tongue so that he can speak English and he can read English. And we're just holding on to that promise. And we understand that we've got to put our best foot forward. We got to put our time in too. But having that faith and knowing that God can do it, that's where it starts. So it's just going to be a matter of time. And I told him, I was like, brother, I believe it with you. I believe that God's just going to move. So y'all be praying for all of our pastors here in PNG. We've got another trip to Lay coming up over the next couple of weeks. Be praying for us for some traveling mercies there. We're excited to get back down there. We got a couple that we're going to be marrying, and we're going to be preaching down there at 3 Mile Church for Pastor Philip again. We're excited about that. We got an ordination coming up the end of this month. That's going to be wonderful. One of our senior pastors here in Mount Hagen. He's been licensed with us since about 2008, I believe it is, and he's going to be ordained the end of this month. So just some great stuff happening. Just be praying that God keeps opening those doors and that He keeps on pushing this thing forward. We're just willing vessels that are here, just doing what God's called us to do. So thank you for all your continued prayers and support. Keep them coming. We love you. We appreciate you, and we're going to talk to you soon.